Nice one that you tried.
Please explain to the jury what the issue was in this particular tape recording.
Well, Johnny at the time was wanting to go and drink downstairs at a bar, and we were talking about 15 minutes because the last several times he had done that, it had been days. He'd disappear on a bender, get really sick, and you know the drill by now, having heard enough from me. So another issue that we were having at the time, or that he was having at the time, that affected me is that he would pass out and vomit, and vomited very, very regularly at this stage. He was obviously drinking again. I'd given up fighting with him on that at that stage. And what I had a habit of doing is turning him over onto his side so he doesn't choke on his own vomit. It's very common for people who do that to asphyxiate, at least that's what I understood. So the advice I got was to turn him to his side, put a pillow underneath his back, and turn his head so that he didn't asphyxiate. And one time I was doing that, and he swung at me, and I told medical. And the advice, after I got their advice, I realized I can't say what the advice was, but after I got that advice, I stopped doing that. I tried to, as much as I could, leave him and just be ready to call 911 or help if I heard him choking. And sometimes that happened behind bathroom doors.
Well, and that's going to take me to September 27, 2015. Again, Depp, that's Plaintiff's Exhibit 356A, and the recording is 3107 to 3230. I'm going to move the admission, Your Honor.
Any objection to that?
No objection.
All right. 356A in evidence.
Thank you, Your Honor. Michelle, thank you.
But I was hitting you. It was not punching you. Babe, you're not punched.
Don't tell me what it feels like to be punched.
You know, even a lot of fights been around a long time. I did not punch you. I was hitting you.
How are your toes?
What am I supposed to do? Do this?
How are your toes?
I'm not sitting here bitching about it, am I? You are. You know what? You're admirable. Every single time. What's your excuse? When there's not a physical fight, then what's the excuse there? You're still being admirable, right? Just by running away?
Amber, please explain to the jury what's transpiring in that audio recording, what that's about.
Well, there's two different situations that we're referencing in this fight. Two different altercations between Johnny and I involving the door. The first of which we first start talking about, where I'm talking about hitting him, I am talking about what that conversation is about the disparity, the disparity between Johnny and I in our physical fights, the disparity of how he would proactively punch me, and I would have to resort to reactively hitting him. I am talking about the difference between a punch, which Johnny did often, and me having to hit him in my defense. I know the difference between those two, and I'm highlighting the difference between those two, even if he wasn't twice my size. They're very different, and that's what I'm pointing out to him. The situation that involved, the context of that is, it happened in our bedroom up in Penthouse 3. You've heard us talk about that place. And I was trying to shut a door, our bedroom door actually. I was trying to barricade myself behind this door, and Johnny was trying to get through the door. He was using his body and his limbs to try to bust through the door as I was trying to keep it closed because I knew what he would do to me when he got to me on the other side. And I was hitting his arms, his body, as he was trying to prevent me from closing the door. And that is a separate incident that we later talk about in the second half of that recording where we're talking about my toes. That involved a different incident, which was a bathroom door. And it was one of those ones that he was passing out in. And I could hear him passing out, or what it sounded like to me behind a closed doors passing out. I heard a thud, I heard a lot of commotion, I heard a glass break. And I hear what sounds like his body falling against the bathroom door. I open it to check on him as I was accustomed to doing at that time. Johnny violently reacted to me opening the door, pushed it against me. It ran up over my toes, and he angrily came around the side of the door, swinging at me. I naturally pushed the door off of my feet, responding to the pain and also to the awareness, the knowledge that he was coming for me. Johnny later later he blamed me in his inability to understand what happened, in that he was not in his right mind, and he misunderstood that interaction and tried to blame me for starting a physical fight between us. And he even later went so far as to say, I wasn't even gonna hit you. And that was the second door. I only could respond by trying to take accountability for my actions in it, what he understood my actions were, and my interpretation. And what I'm trying to say to him is, look, I can only do my best to respond. I was in pain, I was scared, and I can't promise you that when I'm scared and in pain, I won't react, thinking I know very well what our situation is and what's gonna happen to me should I not react.
Thank you. So I'm going to play another clip from that same discussion, and Your Honor, it would be Plaintiff's Exhibit Depp's 356B, we will call that, and it would be from 1:29:27 to 1:30:07. And I'd like to move the admission.
All right, any objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
All right, 356B in evidence.
Thank you, Your Honor. Michelle.
I can't promise you that I'll be perfect. I can't promise you. That's it. And then I hope you leave me. I'm not going to. And me too. I will leave you. It's fair. I can't do it, you know? And I think, honestly, if we hold each other accountable to that, it's fair.
Please explain to the jury what was going on in that part of the discussion.
That's the same conversation where I am, as I was accustomed to doing, I'm taking as much responsibility as I had to. In those interactions, I have to, you know, in my relationship with Johnny, and as you have to, and somebody will not and cannot take any accountability for anything they do in a fight, as Johnny couldn't and wouldn't. I took on as much as I could for myself. You know, I had the whole relationship been blamed for everything, for his drinking, for him hitting me, for everything in between. Blamed for walking away, blamed for staying. And I blame myself as well. Blame myself for my part in it, blame myself for staying, blame myself for putting up with it. And frankly, at a certain point, it's easier to take the blame, feels easier. It almost feels better to take the blame for something than to accept the senseless nature of the violence you can't change. You know, it's almost more reassuring to take accountability for it than to accept the senseless nature of the violence that you can't change no matter what you do, no matter what I did. No matter what I did, still hit me.
I'm now going to take you to October 5, 2015, and Your Honor, Plaintiff's Exhibit, Depp's Exhibit 393A, it's another recording, 2:40 to 3:43. Move the admission.
No objection.
All right, 393A, plaintiffs in evidence.
Fact of the matter is, Johnny, they don't know. None of your friends, whether they saw a tiny fraction, that was the tip of an iceberg. A tip of an iceberg. That was my reaction to, yet again, this happening. That is the tip of the iceberg. If you want to use that as some sort of like mental excuse or validation of whatever, of telling your friends or whatever they think or whatever they think about me or whatever, fine. But they only saw a tip of an iceberg. None of your friends
Let me ask you a
and
question.
none of this team have actually been there for one of our fights. They've never
Oh, boy.
actually
That's
seen.
not true.
Really? Have they been in the hallway? Yeah.
They've
Have
never
they
been.
seen? Baby, that is absolutely not true. Entirety.
No, how could they?
No, exactly. So stop using that as some sort of excuse. Like they see it, they know, they work for you, or they're your friends. That
All right, we need to slip in a commercial break. Are you noticing any difference after the week off from Amber Heard? A little less dramatic with her storytelling. We'll get you back into court right where we left off, right after this.
Where your hard work pays off.
Welcome back to Court TV Live and our continuing coverage of Depp versus Heard. Let's get you back to the courtroom right where we left off.
Please explain to the jury what you were discussing in that conversation.
Johnny would often use the fact that his, paid employees, his loyal staff would back him up in fights, and that he would constantly threaten to call them in to validate him. They threatened to call them to come into the room to have them back up him and say that it was, that my yelling or that I'm at fault, that I'm in the wrong, that it's all me. And he would do that in almost all of our fights, especially by 2015, that he would call his friends and he'd call his staff in to back him up, so that I knew and would accept that I'm at fault and that I'm wrong. And that was, what I had to agree to over and over again, just to even hope that we could have a conversation at some point in a more therapeutic sense so we could move the conversation along. That was his MO, if you will. He'd call people that work for him to back him up.
I'm going to take you to Thanksgiving 2015. Could you please just tell the jury, and we'll go through this one relatively briefly, but tell the jury about Thanksgiving and any altercations you had with Mr. Depp on that occasion.
Thanksgiving 2015, we had friends over. Johnny had Marilyn Manson over, and I had a few of my friends over. We had a son over, and maybe my father. I'm not entirely sure how long he was there. We had dinner together. Johnny was disappearing with Manson, doing coke.
Objection calls for speculation.
All right, I'll sustain that objection.
How do you know he was disappearing with Mr. Manson with coke?
That's what I knew of their relationship at the time, and he was
Objection calls for
disappearing every
speculation.
I'll sustain the objection.
All right.
So
Please continue with the rest
he
of
got
the
up for a longer period of time, not the normal every 5 minutes to go to the bathroom kind, but like he just appeared for a longer period of time. And at this stage, I was really dependent on recognizing the patterns of what he was. I was reliant on trying to figure out what he was on, what combination he was on, so I knew how to deal with him. It was incumbent, on me, because it affected my safety. Dealing with somebody who was really high, dealing with Johnny high on coke and speed, meaning Adderall or some version of that, is different from the opiate Johnny, which is different from the booze Johnny, or a different combination. And there was talk of Quaaludes at the time, and Johnny was trying to get it from.
Objection, Your Honor, non-responsive.
I'll sustain the objection. You want to ask?
So I was.
Please continue.
So I wanted to know what I was dealing with. It was important to my safety to know who.
Objection. non-responsive.
I think,
That's why I followed him.
okay. All right,
Your
so,
Honor.
so what did you
I'll
do
se-
next?
I'll sustain the objection. Next question.
What did you do next?
I went upstairs to the apartment, the main apartment, not the apartment that we were celebrating Thanksgiving in, to try to figure out what was going on. And we had an argument that took place downstairs, and I said something to provoke Johnny. I went up the stairs ahead of him to get back to the party. He grabbed me at the top of the stairs, kind of through the stairs actually, by my shirt. Kind of flung me a little bit, but I just remember I went into the bedroom, kind of retreated into the bedroom. I had a glass of wine in my hand at the time, which spilled everywhere and shattered, and I kind of retreated into the bedroom. Johnny came in after me, and there was this heavy, like vintage style glass decanter. He picked up the decanter and hurled it at my head, my face. It missed, thankfully, but smashed into a piece of art behind me in the bedroom wall, above the bed. I got past him. I think there might have been a bit of shoving. I can't really recall in the sequence of when that happened, but I wanted to go back downstairs. And I passed my closet. I had to change my shirt. And I went back downstairs to the party to finish the evening out. And I put on a face, and we finished the evening with the guests, and then more fighting happened afterwards.
Okay, thank you. So we talked about December 15, 2015, last Thursday, and also the Bahamas over the holidays. But I did miss one picture. And Michelle, can you bring up Defendant's Exhibit 518? Amber, does that accurately depict the scene portrayed?
Yes, it does.
Your Honor, I'd like to move the admission of Defendant's Exhibit 518.
No objection.
All right, 518, defendants in evidence. You can publish.
And this is from December 15, I believe. Could you just please tell the jury what this depicts?
Yes, it's a picture of my bruised temple, and Johnny had his hand on my on part of my face with my face down, and I was punching my head. I'm repeatedly punching my head. That's what caused that bruise in my temple.
Thank you. Now, we went through the Bahamas before, and you returned from the Bahamas sometime late December, early January, correct?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to take you to January, February of 2016. Can you please describe to the jury what was going on with you and Johnny in this January timeframe after this December 15 and the Bahamas incidents?
After the Bahamas, Johnny's sobriety fell apart. There was just none of it. It was, so he stopped communicating with the medical team that he had hired.
Objection calls for speculation.
How do you know that?
I was there. They fired him.
Objection calls for hearsay.
I'll sustain the objection.
Okay. Without telling what the medical people did, go ahead and tell what was going on with you and Johnny.
Yeah, his mental health, for lack of what it looked like, his mental health was just falling apart. Is what it looked like.
Objection calls for speculation.
I'll sustain the objection.
What did you observe that led you to believe that his mental health was falling apart?
Objection, Your Honors. Calls for speculation.
She can say what she
Leading.
observed.
I'll sustain the objection as to leading. Next question.
What, if anything, did you observe about Mr. Depp's state?
He was hallucinating, auditory.
Objection calls for speculation.
I'll sustain the objection.
Please tell the jury exactly what he was doing that led you to believe he was hallucinating.
Objection leading.
Sustained.
What, if anything, was Mr. Depp doing that would have led you to believe he was hallucinating?
Same objection.
Sustained.
Please describe what Mr. Depp was saying in January of 2016.
He was talking to people who weren't there. meaning people who were not in the room. He was communicating with people and sounds and voices that weren't there. I know because I was sometimes in the room and sometimes on the phone with him. And he would tell me I had a conversation with him that I did not have. He would say I said something that I didn't have. He would comment on somebody being in the room behind me that wasn't there. It was terrifying. It was terrifying because, once he smashed a board right next to my face, and it was unclear to me whether he was even mad at me or he was convinced that the guy he said he saw me with was in the room. I didn't know if Johnny felt the man was in the room with us or not at that point. But I remember he put his fist through a whiteboard in the kitchen. He hallucinated right in front of me. And
Objection calls for speculation.
Don't use the word hallucinate. Just describe what led you to believe
Your
that.
Honor, objection.
I'll sustain the objection. She can testify to what she observed.
Please, thank you, Your Honor. Please tell the jury what you
Your
observed.
Honor, may we approach?
Okay.
All right, a lot of back and forth, a lot of objections. Let's bring in trial and civil attorney Zach Hershenshone in Normandy Park, Washington. Zach, overall this morning, Amber Heard seems more controlled, less dramatic with her answers, and boy, Camille Vasquez is objecting and trying to deride this direct. Your thoughts?
Yes, she's very effective with the objections, and these admissions are just so difficult to talk around. And so I guess the way that you do this is to sort of try to inside straight it. But she's much more reserved. That's good. But I think it is a very challenging case for her. It's becoming very, very challenging.
Obviously, some coaching over the week off and a little bit different Amber Heard we're seeing today. We're going to break in and pick it up right where we left off. Stay with us.
Load the Experian app now.
Welcome back to Court TV and our continuing coverage of Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard. This afternoon, it'll be Camille Vasquez versus Amber Heard as cross-examination begins right now. Let's go back where we left off on direct.
Please tell the jury what you observed.
I observed behavior from him that was erratic, irrational, and didn't seem connected to the reality that we were in.
Okay. Now I'm going to take you up to the beginning of February of 2016, February 8, February 9. Please tell the jury what transpired then with respect to Mr. Depp.
Around this time, Johnny was, again, behaving in a way that was very scary. It was terrifying. And sometimes he didn't know.
Objection calls for speculation.
I think she can describe what she's observing. Are you describing what you're observing?
Yes.
Please continue.
In these kind of discussions I would have around this time, early February of 2016, sometimes in the argument, he would accuse me of something, some person in the room with me that had just walked out or I was hiding, for instance. And sometimes he would hold on to that even when he seemed to have calmed down or come off of whatever bender he was on. And it was almost as if I had to confront what delusion he had or what belief he had or what accusation he made of me in a new fight altogether. Sometimes he didn't make it clear to me whether he was mad at me or he knew he was mad at me. It was terrifying because I bore the brunt of it. And at around the 8th or 9th, we were in his Sweetser compound, the West Hollywood collection of homes that he has. And I got some cryptic texts from him in the early morning hours that scared me. I won't say what I said, but I came over to his main house. I believe I had been across the street, and I slept on the couch. We had some interaction in the morning, which made me fearful. He didn't know whether or not I was fearful he was going to believe that he was angry at me. Even though we weren't fighting, I wasn't fighting with him. I had done nothing wrong, but I was really worried that the momentum he was on was going to click into a direction of deciding that he was mad at me and I deserved it. And I was terrified that that was going to happen. So I had an interaction with him and got really worried about that on the morning of the 10th.
All right. Michelle, I'm going to ask you to bring up Defendant's Exhibit 638. It's already admitted in evidence, Your Honor. And this is from February 10, 2016. And I'm going to ask you to play it, Michelle.
What happened? Nothing happened this morning, you know that?
Were you in here?
No.
So then nothing happened to you this morning?
Yeah, you're right. I just woke up and you were so sweet and nice. We were not even fighting this morning. All I did was say sorry.
Did something happen to you this morning? I don't think so.
No.
Are you crazy?
Have you drunk this whole thing this morning?
Oh, you got this going? You got this going?
I just started it.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Really?
Why did you videotape this, Amber?
Because I knew he wouldn't remember.
Objection calls for speculation.
Sustained.
Rather than what you knew, you can say what you thought. Just tell us why you...
I was afraid. It was scary. That's scary. Scared. Scared they wouldn't remember.
Objection calls for speculation.
I'll sustain the objection.
All right. So I'm going to now take you up to April 21, 2016, your 30th birthday party. Will you please tell the jury what happened that night with respect to, in particular, Mr. Depp?
At that time, we had a fitting that day or the day before, and he missed it, and he was kind of disappearing at that time, like at night, vaguely saying meetings. He had meetings, but then he'd be gone for sometimes 2 days, just not coming home and that sort of thing. Coming home after a bender
Calls for speculation
worse.
as to Bender.
I don't think that calls for speculation.
I'll sustain the objection. He's gone for 2 days. Go ahead.
And I had my birthday was coming up, and it was on my birthday. I said, "Are you gonna make it to my birthday party?" We had a dinner planned at our penthouse. I said it would be important for me if you made it.
Objection, hearsay.
Not offered to prove the truth of the matter asserted. Thank you.
And he told me at some point that day that he had scheduled a business meeting or a money meeting, I think he said, maybe, at 7, which is around the time my birthday was planned for. It might have been planned for 8 p.m. He, of course, once my party was starting, he wasn't there. Texted me at some point to let me know that he was going to make it, but that he was running late. And that continued throughout my party. We finished dinner, and when we were cleaning up and kind of everyone was delaying leaving because we were waiting for to give him an opportunity to show up before everyone left. And he let me know he was there. I tried to, without saying what I said, I tried to give him the impression that I wasn't going to get on him about drinking or anything. I just wanted him to be there. And we had a toast. We did a celebratory toast. And the guests left. And later that evening, we were in bed, and I had a book, and Johnny without saying what they said, it was important for me not to make him feel attacked. So I chose my words carefully. I won't say what I said, but I remember being very careful about how I worded what I was feeling about my birthday and him having missed it. An argument followed that. I got up out of bed. Johnny's side of the bed was closer to the door than mine. I remember him blocking the door, blocking me to get out, and kind of shoving me down, and we had a verbal argument, and then that became a shoving match. I tried to shove him back. I kind of felt myself retreat into the bedroom. At some point, he picked up like a large, I guess it's a Magnum size, not a normal size, a large size bottle of champagne, and hurled it at me. This time it went through a painting, and I loved this painting. I remember it just went like right through the canvas, left a giant hole in it. And I remember thinking we shouldn't have art in our bedroom anymore. And the fight continued into the salon area, which was outside of our bedroom at the top of the stairs. Johnny picked up my phone. I don't know why. I don't remember what he was saying when he did it, but he picked up my phone and threw it out of the open window of the salon area, out onto the street, out onto the downtown street that this window overlooked. In that moment, I went, "Oh, no, you don't." I saw his on the countertop and picked it up and threw his immediately, like 2 seconds later. I didn't want to be stranded this time alone, meaning I didn't want to be the only one stranded without a phone, which had happened to me already several times before this from Johnny. So I picked up his phone, threw it as well. And I said that I wanted to go stay somewhere else for the evening. I left that room, went into the office. We were still screaming names at each other and screaming at each other. And I walk around the side of his desk, and the next thing I know, he has me by the hair, and he pulls me down, kind of, I hit the side of the desk. I remember things flying off of the side of the desk that I hit with my body. I remember trying to fight him off of me. At some point, we're back in my main bedroom, and I believe I was getting my toothbrush out of that bathroom, and when I came out, we had another shoving match, but this one, he kind of like, I remember he chest bumped me in this like bro-y way, chest bumped me and fell to the floor, and when I got back up, he kind of held me down by the shoulders down on the side of the bed, kind of held me, wrestled me down on the bed. I remember I got up once or twice before I ended up on the bed, and he grabbed me, did this thing that he did sometimes when he would taunt me, grabbed me by the pubic bone, pubic area. Just as best I can describe it is he kind of just pushed me down, held me down by it, and kind of pulled me into it, and he was asking me, kind of taunting me. A bit of time. I'm not quite sure. I think at some point he left. I remember at some point shortly after that, I remember he was still in the apartment when this happened, but I remember kind of collapsing on the floor and being exhausted. It's just, I remember feeling exhausted and crying and kind of throwing in the towel, if you will. I remember saying to him, just, can we not fight like this? Like, can we start over? Is there anything that we can do? Like, this is really messed up, but can we just not do this, please? Can we stop doing this? Just don't leave. It's my birthday. Let's just call it couch. Let's call it truce and not have it end like this. I don't want to have it end like this. I was just so tired, hurt, and I remember crying and feeling ridiculous that after this I would be crying and saying these things. I'm embarrassed saying it now. He responded cruelly. He said this was all my fault and what I asked for, and he left. I heard him come back in the downstairs. You know, you can hear the door slam. I remember hearing it open and thinking, "Oh God, is this going to happen again? What's going on now?" And then shortly after, I kind of peeked around to the top of the stairs where you can kind of peer into the lower level. And I just see him briefly, momentarily, and he just screams out.
X3.
Back to court we go. Amber Heard on the stand. This is still direct. We're expecting cross to begin this afternoon.
And stormed out. At some point, I walked downstairs and saw that he had also left me a note to that effect.
How did he leave a note for you?
It was written on a piece of paper, as best I can recall, but I'm not sure.
And so then the next day, what did you do?
I texted, I can't say what I texted. I woke up that morning, the morning of my 30th birthday, and I woke up to my best friend crawling in bed with me and putting her arms around me. And I remember wondering how she walked in, because there was a lot of glass on the floor. Just lots of glass. And she put her arms around me and showed me a birthday video that all of my friends, my childhood friends, all of my loved ones made. Of course, stupidly, the first thing I asked her is why Johnny wasn't in the video, because it had been recorded before. It had been recorded sometime before it was clear. And she said that she'd been asking for a few months, and Johnny just...
Objection, Your Honor, hearsay.
I offered to prove the truth.
All right, I'll overrule. Go ahead.
And so we eventually got out of my bed and grabbed a few things and got the dogs, left for our plans, which our plans had been to go to Coachella, which is a music festival that happens in California. And that had been the plan for a while, that's how we would go and celebrate my birthday. And I remember, as I am accustomed to doing, just trying to move through it, move on, and remember in vain trying to put on a brave face and have a good time, even though it was impossible.
Let me stop you for a few things. What, if any, plans were there for Mr. Depp to join you at Coachella?
He was supposed to drive down, have dinner, stay in the room, maybe do some writing or something like that in the room.
At Coachella?
At Coachella, where we were. Coachella happens in a different part of California than we lived in. We lived in Los Angeles, and this happens about 2 to 3 hours away. So I'd finally gotten my car back, and I drove with my best friends in the car.
And I'm going to stop you again because I just have a couple more questions before we go into that part. You said you brought the dogs. Who were the dogs you brought?
Johnny's dog, at the time, Boo. My dog, Pistol. We shared them. They're teacup Yorkies, and I believe Raquel, my best friend's dog, which is a mutt.
Okay. What, if any, issues did Boo have with bathroom problems, if you will?
Objection, leading and relevance.
Overruled all that.
She had eaten Johnny's weed when she was a puppy and had bowel control issues for her entire life, among some other issues. She was, we regularly had to take her to the vet to try to figure out, well, what was wrong with this dog? Never met a dog that was quite like this. So she had some control issues, hence why she liked to burrow in the bed. She liked to be in the, by the foot of the bed underneath the covers. And it was customary that they slept in bed with us, but Boo, having the issues she had, we have to leave her in bed so that she wouldn't be encouraged to go to the bathroom, which would happen almost immediately once you put her down on the floor. And sometimes it happened in bed too. But yeah.
So what, if anything, did you notice about any bathroom issues in your bed before you left for Coachella?
Well, Raquel and I were both in that bed with the dogs, and I didn't notice anything, but we left them in the bed while we packed a bag to go to Coachella, so that Boo particularly didn't lose control of her bowel, or, didn't go to the bathroom on the floor. So we leave them in bed until you're ready to take them outside to the patio, which is their designated bathroom break area.
Okay. And what, if any, plans were there? How often did you have housekeeping at that time at your house?
The housekeepers were there every morning.
Okay.
Or they came every day, as far as I know.
All right, Amber Heard talking about Boo the dog. She's about to deny pooping in Johnny Depp's bed. We're going to see it. You watch her explanation of what happened right after the break as we approach the top of the hour. Julie Grant's next.